loss. The next threat is poaching and wildlife hunting. Poaching can be defined as the illegal hunting or capturing of wild animals, or you can also say even plants, usually associated with land use rights. Okay. Global trade in wildlife is estimated to be over $20 billion annually. Global trade includes at least 40,000 primates, ivory from at least 90,000 African elephants, 1 million orchids, 4 million live birds, 10 million reptile skins, 15 million furs, and over 350 million tropical fish. These poachers, what they will do is they will kill several animals for their meat or for their ivory tests. Tigers are killed for their skins and bones. Rhinos are killed for their mm, horns. Turtles are killed for their shell, and snakes for meat and skin. Musk deer for their organs, and crocodiles are killed for their skin. Jackals are killed for their um, fur, and whales are killed for their blubber. These slaughtered animals, on the other hand, have commercial values as food, jewelry, trophy, decor, or traditional medicines. You look at this picture, these are in ancient times, the tigers were killed for their skins. They are used as trophies, even buffalo heads or mm, like deer heads are used as trophies. Okay, so this poaching and other forms of hunting for profit increases the risk of extinction. And uh, pet trade, like some animals such as birds, reptiles, and primates, are captured. They're captured live so that they can be kept or sold as exotic pets. Hunting for sport is also a factor for loss of animal biodiversity. And even plants are also susceptible to poaching. Valuable trees like rosewood trees, sandalwood trees, or mahogany are illegally logged from an area, eliminating both the tree species and all the animals that depend on it. So, when some plant species such as cycads, cacti, and orchids were illegally collected and sold as ornamental plants. So, this is how the poaching and wildlife hunting is posing a very big threat for biodiversity loss. The next important threat for biodiversity is introduction or invasion of exotic species. Invasive species, or you can also call it as alien or exotic species, these are not the species of our country or our region. They are introduced accidentally or intentionally by man from other countries. Okay, these invasive species are identified as the second greatest threats to native wildlife after habitat loss. When a new animal or a plant or a microbe is introduced into an ecosystem, it may not have any natural predators. So what happens? It doesn't have a natural predator. It continues to thrive very well using the whatever the resources available in the that area. So it can breed and spread very rapidly, and it prey on native species. That means they can easily it will there is no competitor. So because they doesn't have any predator or any pest for them, they will thrive very rigorously, and they rapidly grow, and they will kill the native plants or surrounding plants by using the resources very fastly and propagating very fastly. They even bring not only this, they also bring unfamiliar diseases. okay, unfamiliar diseases, and they'll try to modify the habitat and disrupt important interactions thus prevent native species from reproducing or killing the native species young, thus they are not capable of, and thus they are capable of causing extinction of native plants and animals, and they thus reduce the local biodiversity. If you look at these are the some uh, you might have seen these plant species in your vicinity. Icornia crassipus. It is in Telugu. It is called as Burrapudekka. Parthenium hysterophorus. It is called as Vayaribhama, and the Lantana camera and Prosopis julifora. These are few examples that can be given for exotic species. They, these plants, they thrive very well in the in our areas and they rapidly propagate. In India, around 173 species of alien plants native to different parts of the world were introduced over the years by man. They successfully colonized and outnumbered the indigenous species and are described as potential weeds. Okay, these are also called as weeds. Okay, example, species native to tropical such as America. Okay, this Iconia craspus is actually, it is a native of America, but it was introduced into India by foreigners. And Hyptis, Hyptis is another uh, plant, and Lantana camera and Parthenium hysterophorus. All these were introduced into India as an ornamental plants. Okay, but now they have become weeds and they propagate rapidly and they're causing they cause biodiversity loss by killing the native species. The next important um, biodiversity loss threat is overexploitation of resources. Overexploitation of resources, overexploitation you can also refer to as overharvesting. Overharvesting of renewable resources to the point of diminishing returns. For example, overhunting or overfishing or overharvesting contribute greatly to the loss of biodiversity, killing of numerous species over the past several hundred years. For example, if you take many, previously man used to uh, go for fishing with small boats, and now they're using mechanized boats and different kinds of mechanized nets for harvesting. So they harvest more number of fishes or more number of invertebrates than they do earlier. So naturally the very the loss of or the number of that particular fish species or the invertebrate species, it will decrease, and it gradually there is a threat for them to diminish and slowly get extincted. Another threat for the loss of biodiversity is pollution. Pollution is the release of chemical or physical or biological or radioactive contaminants into the environment. All forms of pollution pose a serious threat to biodiversity as they alter the natural habitat. You should remember one thing, that substances that are natural can become pollution when they are too abundant in a certain area. Okay. The pollution causes like burning of fossil fuels or a release of all these sulfur dioxide or nitrogen oxides into the atmosphere. It reacts with the water, oxygen, and other substances to form airborne sulfuric and nitric acid. And this occurs in acid rain. Okay, when it reaches the earth, it flows across the surface of and runoff water enters water system, and it's sink into the soil, and it makes the water more acidic, and it makes the soil more acidic, and thus it will kill the all the animals or plants in that area. And not only this, the nutrients, mainly phosphorus or nitrogen, comes from animal waste or fertilizers or sewages or wastewater um, um, runoff or irrigation runoff into the water bodies through the surface runoff. It will enriches the water bodies and it causes eutrophication of the water bodies, and thus it will kill the water life, aquatic life. Okay, and another important pollutant is, phenomena is bioaccumulation. It is also an important concept connected with pollution, and in this process, chemicals become increasingly concentrated in animal tissues, and they move up to the food chain, and many agricultural and industrial chemicals or persistent organic pollutants, they enter into the food chain and pose a threat to the health of the animal and plant life. So that's how the pollution, whether it is air or water or any pollution, will lead to the loss of life. Besides this, even the noise pollution is also cause wildlife extinction. A study by Canadian Wildlife Protection Fund in Arctic area, it states that whales తిమింగలాలు అంటారు కదా, so whales are seen on the verge of extinction as a result of increasing noise of ships, particularly icebreakers and tankers. Next is pest control methods or control of pest and predators methods. Chemical pollutants such as pesticides or fertilizers generally kill predators that are a component of balanced ecosystem. These predators, they maintain the ecosystem balance, but these chemical pollutants like pesticides, they'll kill these natural predators, and they remain in the crop. These pollutants, they still remain in the crop field for a longer time and may also indiscriminately kill non-target species like microflora and macrofauna of soils and birds or frog diversity and also natural predators. So that means if you use any pesticide like a chemical pesticide on plants, we naturally use these pesticides to kill the predators like whatever the insects or whatever the flies that causes destruction to the plant. But when we spray these pesticides, what will happen? Not only they will get killed, but other soil microorganism, when this pesticide falls on the ground, it has the capability to kill the soil microorganisms like the bacteria or actinomycetes or even earthworms, and also they can kill birds which they visit these plants, or even butterflies or any other insects. So non-target species also get killed. Thus, uh, there will be a very big loss for biodiversity. Uh, Another important biodiversity loss is due to global environmental change, or you can also call it as global climate change. This is due to the increasing world population and industrial development. There is an increased emission of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and other gases. There's fossil fuels and these gases, and plus deforestation. Okay, and burning and decay of biomass, whatever the greenhouse gases they released into the Earth's atmosphere, they'll trap the heat and it will increase the heat of the Earth. Like that, that means the Earth's temperature increases. This is called as a greenhouse effect, and the result is the global warming or climate change. This global warming has many number of effects on the oceans because whenever these earth the temperature increases, even though water temperature slowly increases and the ocean swells and they and whatever the low lying areas and the oceanic area, they will get inundated, and the whatever the life around it or on the on it will be um, destructed. And plus this temperature rise will also uh, what will happen, the polar ice caps or polar ice caps or the all the ice in the polar regions or glaciers, it will start melting, and that results in oceanic increase in the ocean's level. The global climate change majorly affects the polar region. As I have told you, or the ice caps or whatever the glacier starts melting up, this will trigger a series of changes in polar ecosystem too. It will become difficult for animals like polar bears or Arctic foxes or red foxes, snow owls. They'll become homeless, and because of this new changes in their environment, they have to adopt to these quick changes, and they will start moving further north in search of ideal abiotic conditions. So not only this, the zooxanthella present in coral tissues, they will also get um, their number is also lost. And when the climate change induced disruption of habitats, especially poses a threat to the survival of migratory species also, as they require multiple habitats in a particular season when they visit. Besides this, natural calamities such as floods, prolonged droughts, landslides, forest fires, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, dust storms, etc., they also take a heavy toll of plant and animal life of various ecosystems. Not only natural calamities, other factors like degree of speciation, reproductive rate, position of the organism in the food chain, and distribution range also has impact on the loss of biodiversity. The consequences of biodiversity loss is increased vulnerability of species extinction because there is no um, suitable uh, areas for them to live. These species, they will try to extinct. They will slowly or sometimes very fastly they will get extincted. And ecological imbalance is also another consequence. Because of this loss in biodiversity, naturally there is scarcity for food source because there is no production, and reduced source of food, and structural material and medicinal and genetic resources will also be, they will get reduced. And when there is less of production of plant or any other thing, naturally the increase of the prices will occur, and the inflation will be resulted, and whatever the prices for for food or for meat or any other thing, it will increase. So these are the consequences of biodiversity loss.